Here we are for another Tableau tutorial, and we're going to build this dashboard. You're going to learn how to do dual charts, you're going to learn how to do hierarchy charts, maps, bar charts, and a whole bunch of styling, so let's go. To build this dashboard takes 5 steps. The first is to bring the data in and do the data modeling. The next step is to build the individual elements that's going to make up our dashboard. Once we have those elements, we can start compiling the dashboard to see where everything's going to go and see if it feels right before we get into the styling. The next step is styling. That means adding a color theme, font selection, padding, layout, spacing, and all those things that make the dashboard really attractive. The last step is deploying the solution to Tableau Public so we can share it with the world. Now in this video, there's a bit of a bonus because if you publish it and you link me in the comments below, you'll enter the draw to win a year's free subscription to my Jellyman Education website. That's right, a whole year free. So I'll show you how to do that later on. To start this journey, we first need to get the data. So if you click on the link in the description below, it'll take you to my website, Jellyman Education. You'll see here, Project the African Energy Revolution. And we're just going to scroll down. So if you're coming from YouTube, just click on this image or the download file. It's going to take you to Google Drive. And from there, you can just click this button at the top, as you can see. And that'll give you a zip file. You simply extract it like we do in all the other videos, and you are ready to go. Once you unzip the file, you're going to have these 3 files here. The one we're interested in is the dataset itself, and we're just going to bring that into Tableau Public in this one. So if you've got Tableau Desktop Paid Edition, you can use that as well, no problem at all. So all I'm going to do is click this and drag it into Tableau, and it'll load up the data, and that's it. Pretty simple. So just give that a few seconds, let it read the information. It's going to look at all the fields. There you go. And now you can see all the fields in here, everything that we're going to use. And the next step is simply going to sheet 1 down here. And that starts the process to do all our visualizations. As you can see here, I'm going to click on sheet 1. Give that a second. And we're now ready to start building. All right, so here we are in Tableau, and really a dual chart is really just 2 sets of line charts, or 2 charts of anything really. And then we're just overlaying them, and it's super simple in Tableau. So we're going to first start by bringing the date into columns. So I'm just going to double click the date, and that's going to bring it in as a year granularity. That is just the default for Tableau, but we want this at a weekly granularity, and we want it to be something called continuous so that we can see the whole thing on an axis, right? So I'm going to right click on this. We're going to go and click on this one right here. So you see there's actually 2 sections. There's year, quarter, month, day, and then repeats here. This one is just the what we call discrete, but all that means is, see here where it says the year, or maybe the month is the best example. When it says May and your data goes over several years, it means every single May across all the years added together. Okay? But here in this bottom one, this is the continuous section. This looks at the May for that year. So it's looking at specific dates. This is the one we want. So we click on this one, and you'll see the chart has changed now to a axis. And the other advantage of this is it fits in really small spaces and it scales much better. Then we need some sort of measure on the top, and we're going to bring in households powered. So easiest way is just double click it. Tableau's going to bring it in as a sum aggregation, as you can see, and we're already kind of halfway there. It's so simple. And mind you, I forgot my mouse, so I'm doing it on a trackpad on a laptop. So if I can do it on that, it just shows how easy Tableau really is. All right. So in order to do the second line, that's actually a moving average stacked on top. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another line of the same thing. So we're just going to double click households powered again, and that's going to create another set of lines. All right. Oops. All right, my double click is too slow, like in Modern Family. Okay. There we go. So now we've got 2 sets of line charts. We're going to change the one on the bottom into a moving average. Now in Microsoft Excel, this is a pain. To write the formula, it's a pain, but Tableau does it automatically. So we simply right click the second one. We're going to go quick table calculation, and you're going to see moving average. Double click that. And the default for Tableau is a 2-day moving average, but we want it to be 14 days. There's a few ways you can do this. One is if you double click this pill, right? We call these things pills. If you double click it, it will go into formula mode. Let me show you. So you can actually see the underlying formulation of what you've just done, okay? Here in this -2 that you see refers to how many days, because it's a negative, how many days going back. You can change this to 14, press enter, and you're done. Okay, so let me show you that. And that is now a 14-day moving average. However, if you don't like that because it conflicts with your philosophy on Tableau or your beliefs or something like that, you're like, I don't do it that way. Right click it and go edit table calculation. Okay, this actually affords you a lot of other options and it kind of organizes it a little bit better as well. So here, if you click on this second drop down, you're going to see number of previous values. So this is just like an interface that makes adjusting the formula a lot easier. You can use the tabs to make it 14, or you can just type it in, click outside of it, and there you have it. That's the same thing. We close it, and now we have 2 sets of lines. What we want to do next is stack them. So the way dual axis works in Tableau is you need 2 sets of measures. Each one refers to one of these charts. And the second measure, all right, these green ones are measures, goes on top of the first one. Okay, so whatever you want on the top has to go on the right. The other thing is, if you right click the second one, you'll see the dual axis option. But if you right click the first one, you won't. That's because whenever you do dual axis, it's always referring to that one and then whatever's to the left. And if there's nothing there, it won't show up. So I'm going to right click this and I'm going to go dual axis. All right, now you can see I'm stacked, but it doesn't look very good. And that's because on a dual axis, you have 2 sets of axes. You see this one goes to 130, this one goes to 65. So we want them on the same axis. So I'm going to right click this one and go synchronize axis. And you'll see everything move down. Because a moving average, really, what it does is it kind of, it flattens the signal, it flattens the line. So you can see the underlying trend of the data. Okay, so just as an example, if I make this daily, you can see all those jagged parts, but it's very hard to see the cycles. But if I make the blue part a little bit more transparent, now you can see the underlying structure of the data. So it's just an example, you don't have to do that. Let's go back. I'll just press back. That was just to kind of demonstrate for you. There we go. All right, so we're now back at month. All right. And then the only thing we want to do is to make it a little bit easier to read whenever you do a dual axis or whenever you have a visualization when you have multiple layers, you want to draw attention to just one. Because if you make both of them very bold, they compete for attention and it makes it hard for the person to see it. So what we want to do is color each one separately and to shade it differently as well. So the first thing we're going to do is click on the all section and we're going to get rid of this measure names coloring. This is automatically put in when you do this. So we're going to right click and just go remove. That'll make them the same color, which is fine for the moment. And then we're going to adjust the color in the back. So I'm going to click on this second one. This one refers to this one. Okay. And we're going to adjust this color to have some opacity or to eliminate opacity or to reduce opacity. I don't know. So I'm just going to drop it down to 25%, just eyeball. And as you can see, by fading it, the line at the front is a little bit more visible. Okay. So now we have the first chart, which is already done. The other thing is this should actually be a week. Okay. So to change it, it's so easy. You just go right click it and just change it to whatever granularity you want. So in our case, it's a week and you can see all the detail inside. That is it. The next chart we're going to build is this one right here. And this is sometimes called a tree map or a hierarchy chart. Super, super simple. We're going to be done in seconds, I'm telling you. Let's go. So to build a hierarchy map, you can do it piece by piece and doing all the settings, but it's such a waste of time. The easiest way to do this chart is just click on a dimension and a measure, okay, to start you off. So I'm going to click energy subtype, and then I'm going to hold Control on the keyboard and click on power system. Okay, and this is one of the secrets of Tableau that makes it look like you're so incredibly awesome, but Tableau just makes it so easy. Here on the top right, you're going to click Show Me, and you will see that the hierarchy, or here it's called tree map, is actually now available. So all you do is click it. All right, that's it. And what Tableau does, if I just click Show Me just to get rid of that, it places everything where it needs to go in order to make this map. So this is the foundational setup of a hierarchy map. So if you want to cut it further, just as an example, say this is the energy subtype, but I have a higher level hierarchy, say energy method, I can actually drop that into detail and it cuts it up again. But it means you don't have to start from the very beginning. So that's just one of the advantages of this. And that is pretty much it. That's all we have to do for this part. It is that simple. The next visualization we're going to build is this bar chart right here. And you're probably wondering, how does it look so simple? And that's because we've gotten rid of so much styling. It really focuses on the data. And that's one of the key things you have to learn about Tableau and data visualization. So let me show you how to build this one. So to do this visualization, for bar charts in particular, I always start with a measure. So households powered is what we're going to be looking at. So I simply double click, and that's going to start me off with a bar chart. There we go. And really, when you add a dimension, you're just cutting up whatever this number is. Okay, so the one we're interested in is the energy method. Then we only want to filter for the Congos, or Democratic Republic of Congo. I hope that's the same as Congos, I'm not sure. So we're going to bring this country into filters, like so. And then we're going to search for Congo. You can see there, oh, there is two of them. Democratic, or maybe that's just my data set. So Democratic Republic of the Congo, I'm going to go OK. And that just filters for any row data for the country field that's equal to that. That's all it does. Go OK. So now we have it as a bar chart. But we actually want this, well, this is actually a column chart. We want it to be going this way. So what you can do is, you can switch these two around. So I can drag energy method into rows, and then move the sum into columns. And that makes it a bar chart. An easier way to do that is whenever you're switching these two, whenever you want to swap whatever's in there, you can just use this transpose button, and that switches it in just one click. Really useful for when you have a whole bunch of pills in there, a whole bunch of formulation, and you don't want to move them one by one. So let me show you. Transpose, 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 transpose. One click. It's that easy, right? So that is basically the bar chart. So we're done with that as well. The last piece we're going to build is this Africa map right here, which looks really, really cool. But really all it is a map with a few annotations. Again, super, super simple. Anyone can do this. Let's jump over to Tableau. So to build a map, there are a few prerequisites when it comes to the data and the map location setup that you have to get right, but you only have to deal with them if they're not already set up correctly. So Tableau does a pretty good job that if I zoom in here, you'll see that when you load the data set, you'll already see that the country is set to a geographical data type. You can see it's like a little globe there. That's usually because the field is called country. But if instead of calling it country, you called it C_-1, whatever, Tableau may not be able to recognize it as a geographical data type. So the way to solve that is you click on that symbol, and then we're going to go geographic role, and you'll see country region has been selected. So if yours has not been set up like that, this next part won't work. So be sure to set that. So to create the map, all we do is double click. Okay. Tableau will do the rest and actually map it. In some cases, it'll just show the globe. Just make sure that in the map settings, if you go map, edit locations, this is functioning correctly. So really it'll just say country, it's looking at the field, and it should just work. Typically it fails because you have states and locations that span multiple countries, multiple locations, but these are all in the same kind of grouping, so it works pretty well. So it should be all right. The next thing is, instead of dots, we want regions. So in order to do that, we click on this marks card right here and switch it to map. If you do that, it's going to now be in regions, and we want some coloring to this. So we want to use one of these measures. And the one we're interested in is households powered. Now, when you bring the measure into color, let me zoom in here so you can see. When you bring it in here, it's going to automatically aggregate to a sum. That is always the default with Tableau. So I'm going to click this, drag it into color, and you'll see it now shade by all those different households. And that is it. So that's the fundamental structure of a map. We're going to do all the styling and annotations once we get to dashboard mode, because we don't know how it's going to fit on the dashboard yet. So we leave all that to the end. Now that we have all the elements, it's time to build the dashboard. So let's head over to Tableau. So in order to create a dashboard, if you just go down here, you're going to see this button right here, and that is the button to create a dashboard. Okay, so let's open that up. Now, because we're going to be putting a background image on this, we're going to scale it to the same size as that image. So here on the size, this is always the first thing I do. And usually once I've selected it, I don't change it. And the reason is because when you have put everything in and then you change this, everything moves. And then you have to repeat all the steps of organizing it. So decide on this as early as possible and then stay with it. So we're going to do 1600 by 900. That's it. So now we've got it there. And like I said before, or maybe I didn't say it, when you're building this dashboard, assuming you don't know what it's going to look like, you don't know where everything's going to go and fit. So I'm going to approach this as if we don't know. So the best way to do it is if you click on floating down here, that just means that when I bring it in, watch, see how I can place it anywhere? But if you've got it set to tiled, when I bring it in, it's going to start doing all these section things. And a lot of beginners don't like that, and it gets kind of annoying. So we're going to do it in floating mode, and we're just going to put things roughly where they're going to go. So a line chart goes roughly here. And when I was building this, I was back and forth multiple times of where things are going to go, how it's going to fit, how it's going to look, all the spacing. So it does take a little bit of time. So I'm going to bring this one down here and literally just dropping things roughly. Do not waste time trying to get things absolutely perfect. I'm just going to do this here because you're just trying to look at the structure, at the framework of how that's going to feel. Because once you start styling, you don't want to repeat those steps because you decided to move something around, okay? Because once we use containers, it gets pretty annoying. So let's bring the bar chart around about here. And remember, I'm just using the trackpad because I forgot my mouse today. And we're just going to size this roughly where they're going to go. Map, let's bring it about here. Okay, we're just going to get rid of all these little labels. We just don't need them at this stage. Okay, like so. All right, and then we're going to bring in the text labels. So here in the object section, we're going to bring in text like that. Okay, so text, you're going to have one up here. Oh, hang on, a bit of a lag. So text, I'm going to call it African Revolution. Even if there's spelling mistakes, who cares? I'm going to highlight it. We're just going to make it, I don't know, 45. Go OK. Yeah, it's roughly that. Yeah. Don't worry about the positioning, because once we use containers, everything just falls into place, almost like a jigsaw. Okay, let's add another text box down here. And we're just going to literally type anything. It's a placeholder. Okay. I'm going to go like that. Then we're going to bring another text box up here. Like so. That's going to be another description. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to check back on what it was going to look like. Yeah, everything's roughly where it goes. So now here we decide, okay, is that easy to read? And this is for any dashboard you do. Does it flow nicely? Can I read things? Is there enough spacing? So you start kind of envisioning what it's roughly going to look like. Then we can start getting into styling itself. Okay. So before we continue, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that watches the content. Be sure to check out the Jellyman Education website. There is a 2-month free coupon in the description below. It is absolutely free with that coupon for 2 months. So you just go in, sign up, enjoy the content. And if at the end of the 2 months you're not interested, just cancel, no big deal. The advantage of the site versus on YouTube, YouTube is just a video. But on the site, it's a learning management system. So you can actually enroll into individual courses. You can track your progress. It'll track what you're up to. You'll be able to get downloadables. In addition to just the simple files in YouTube that I give you, you also get a lot more assets in these lessons. So for example, you get a huge image collection. There'll be extra downloadables. There's a whole bunch of ebooks. There's like cheat sheets that you can get. There's other portfolios that you can see. If I just scroll down here, there's heaps of other courses, and I'm building more and more as I go. And it covers a wide range of topics. And once you enroll, Once you sign up, you get access to everything. It is that simple. All right, so now we've brought in all the individual elements. We're now going to start adding the details of the dashboard. Things like labels here, labels. We're not going to do any formatting of the visualizations themselves because, again, we're still trying to see how everything's going to flow and be placed. So we're going to get all this text in, we'll get the annotations in, we'll get all the placement in, and then we'll see how things look. So to do this part, go back to the data set that you downloaded, and you're going to see this one called African Energy Text. If you open that up, it's just a text file with all the labels and descriptions we're going to be using for this. So the first one is the African Energy Revolution, and we're just going to copy paste things as where they're going to go. So right click, copy, go back in here, double click, and then I'm just going to paste, or right click, paste, right, whatever works for you. I'm going to go OK. Okay, start putting that there. It does have a subtitle, so let's go to the subtitle. I'm just going to go back and forth and start adding things little by little. Add this underneath. You can see that's actually very large, so we just want the subtitle to be a lot smaller. Let's go 20 and go OK. So you can see things are starting to come together. Make this a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. Okay, there you go. All right, now for the line chart, let's have a look. We just need the monthly earnings, households powered. Okay, so back to the text, monthly earnings. So we're going to copy this section right here, Control C. We're going to double click on this title, on the line chart title, and we're just going to get rid of this and paste the whole thing. And go apply, let's see how it looks. So it's quite large. You're going to make this a little bit smaller, maybe 11. Let's see how that looks. Maybe even 10. 10. Okay, again, not completely perfect. We're just getting it in, getting closer. There's almost like refinements when, you know, artists and they're just touching it up at the end. This is basically that. Okay, so we need energy types for this section. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go down here, double click. Let's get rid of all this. Make the title a little bit bigger. Don't worry about the case sensitivity because the font that we're choosing actually makes everything capitals anyway. Okay, so now we have that there. We need this top section. So Africa is powering thousands of households, which I spelled incorrectly. All right, this section up here. Okay, make this a little bit bigger. This is what happens when I forget my mouse. I don't know, 14. Okay. All right, that's looking good. All right, now for the map. Okay, so for the map, this one's a little bit different. So here, to create these annotations, it's actually pretty easy. We're going to start with this one, so Mauritania. Hopefully I'm saying that right. If I'm not, please let me know in the comments. All right, so we go back, and we're going to look for Mauritania, and then you'll have this tooltip come up. And once you see it, you're just going to right-click, go up, right-click, annotate, mark. That creates your little annotation window. Don't worry about typing anything just yet. Just go OK, and that'll create the annotation. And we're just going to move it to the side. And this map actually should go all the way here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring it to the bottom, but not all the way. A little trick is because this is going to be sitting behind or over this one. I don't know just yet. If you go over the whole thing, you can't select it. You can, it just gets a little bit annoying when you're kind of figuring out where things go. So just go about halfway, like that. Okay, and you can see that one kind of fall behind, but I can still click its kind of feet, so I can edit it later. Okay, so we've got the Mauritania done. The next one is Republic of Congo. So this one right here. Again, annotate, mark, OK. Move this to the side. Next one is, what's the next one? Madagascar. I like to move it, move it. Okay, annotate, mark, OK. There we go. Move that down there. Again, I'm not too concerned where everything goes. Libya. Every time I hear Libya, I just think of Back to the Future. It's the Libyans. All right, annotate, mark, OK. So now I got these individual elements. All right, and we go, all right, that looks pretty good. We're going to clear all this other formatting in a bit. Now we're going to edit these text boxes. So I'll go back to the text file, and you're going to see each of these individual ones. Okay, so we're going to start with this, Mauritania. Oop. Copy. Now to edit this, you just double click inside. Control A to highlight everything, Control V to paste, and go OK. All right, back to the text. Next one, copy. So you can see, like, I mean, the dashboards look great. They're not that complicated, you know. So a lot of people who are, you know, getting new or new into data visualization, or maybe being a data analyst, or maybe you've been in the field for a while, but you're new to this kind of area. It's not that hard. It's just a lot of kind of little things put together, and you'll be able to get it, you know. And because of that, you can really enjoy it, you know. Madagascar. Okay. And you can see it's just so straightforward. Like, anyone can do this. It's great. This is why I love Tableau. Okay, there we have it. So they got that part, and then we have this bar at the bottom. Okay, now let's have a look. See, I've done this intentionally because it kind of wraps around, and that's what makes it look really good. Yeah. All right, now let's have a look at this one. So this one's really just the title, and that's it. So what I'm going to do is, this one will be underneath the map. We want it to be on top now. So if you activate it and click on this triangle, you're going to see floating order, and you just want to go bring to front. And you'll see it's going to go on top of everything. Don't worry too much about that. Okay. And just going to change the title. So if you can't get to the title for whatever reason, another way is just click on the triangle and click on, no, you can't do it that way. Sorry, I meant click on this second button right here. Go to sheet. And there's another way to do the titles, because you can double click this one. This is really useful for when you have a lot of elements on the dashboard. Okay, so let's go back to the text. Okay. Oh, this one is just the Democratic Republic of Congo, and go OK. And once we go back to the dashboard, you see things are now starting to form. You can start kind of tweaking things a little bit just to get a better feel of how it's going to flow. But now comes the elimination. We're going to get rid of all the things that are just distractions, and you'll see it really come together quickly. We now have all the elements for the dashboard. We're going to add the background and then start doing the coloring and the styling, and then followed by some padding. Right? All right, so to add the background, we're going to use the image object. So here on the bottom, in the object section, you're going to see image. And again, make sure you're in floating mode for this. It'll just make your life a lot easier. We're going to go and bring image in anywhere. Doesn't matter where you put it. We're just going to drop it right bang in the middle and give it a second, because there's some prompts here. We're going to go choose. And in the zip file that you downloaded, you're going to see that file. So let me go and look for it. So to bring in the background, we're going to use the image object. So if you just go down here, you're going to see image. And you just want to drag and drop that anywhere. Make sure you're in floating mode. And just going to literally drop it anywhere on the dash. Let's do that again. Okay. And it's going to prompt you. And you want to click on choose. Go into the folder that you downloaded, and there'll be a background image in there. So here is the background image. It's like a nighttime image. We're going to go open. Yeah. I'm going to go fit image, center image. Okay. There you go. Now you can see it's right on top. And what we want to do is have it fill the whole background and then put it to the back of all the objects. So the way to do that is make sure it's active, go into the layout section, and then we're going to position this to be 0, 0 for X and Y to start in the corner. And then the width and height is going to be the ratio of the dashboard itself. So we're going to go 0. I press tab to get to the next one. 0. Give it a second. See, it's gone up to the corner. Then the width is going to be 1600. Tab. And the height is going to be 900. Now that's going to put it on top of everything. Once that's happened, make sure you've clicked it to activate it. You're going to see this little triangle here. It may not be on the top right, depending on your screen. Maybe it's top left or bottom, whatever, but it will definitely be there. Click on that and go floating order and go send to back. And that puts it behind all the objects. Bang. Right. Now you can see, okay, we put it on top, but it's still not there, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is get rid of all this white spacing, all this white color so that the background can shine through. And the way to do that is you simply right click any of this white space, go format, and then here you're gonna see this paint can icon right there, and just set this to none. And that makes it transparent. So none, okay, you see there's a lot of stuff we have to get rid of. We do the same thing for these ones. So again, I'm just going to left click any of these. Okay, so one of the things is once you're in this formatting mode for any particular page, once you click the next viz, this part here, this left section, will be for whatever you've selected. So it just kind of saves you the step of having to right click every time. Okay, so if I go here, we're going to turn this one off. And as you can see, the whole trick with Tableau, well, visualizations in general, is not about adding more stuff. It's about getting rid of them. Now with maps, it's a little bit different, but still set that to none. And then here for the bars, same thing. We'll set this to none. You can see the data is now starting to come through. With the maps, we actually have, it's got its own kind of formatting settings. So activate it, go to map, and go background layers. And when you do that, it's going to open up a different window or a different section for your map. And we're going to set this to be transparent. So we're going to get rid of, I can't remember which ones, but we're just going to get rid of a whole bunch of it. Oh, it's the first one. All right, base. I'll just double check the image again. Yep. So we're going to get rid of that. We'll get rid of land cover. We'll get rid of basically everything, I think. Like so. So you just untick everything. And now we've got that visualization there. Okay. And that's it for that one. Now, the text is a little bit hard to see. And we want to set all the text to white. So instead of going into every single one and adjusting it, we can go into format and go workbook. And once you go here, you can click on this all section and this will adjust all the font in the entire file. And this saves you from going into every single one. Okay. For now, I'm just going to leave the font the same. I'm just going to switch it to white. I leave the font at the end because it's fun. Because once you do the final font, it's like bang, it's like the final look, you know. You have to be excited about stuff. Okay, so you can see now the contrast is really good. And I actually went through a number of different backgrounds because you don't want a background that's going to compete with the visualization at the front or it's going to muddle it. You want something with a really good contrast so that the data shines through. It's always about the data. Okay, and that's it for now. All right, we're going to continue on with the formatting. Again, we're trying to eliminate everything, but we're also going to start tweaking the text now. So here in the text, I want this to be center justified. So I'm going to double click. And this is one of the things though, when you change your text to white, in these text box, they become invisible because they're white. So a little trick to this is to change everything to like, not white, but close to white, like almost a gray. And that gives you enough that you can actually see it. Like for example, if I change it to this one. Okay, so in order to get to this window, it's just format workbook. It'll bring you to this window. And if I double click this text now, you can just see it. So that's a neat little trick. Okay, and we're just gonna go center justified and go okay. All right, we'll do the same thing for the next one. So monthly earnings. Okay, there we go. And the sizing now we're going to start looking at. So with this sizing, I'm probably going to go, let's say 13. And for the texting here, the text here, I think 10 is actually okay. So let's stick with those numbers, 13 and 10. Okay. And then Control A, we just want everything center justified. We're going to do this for everything on the dashboard. So here on this text, we're going to double click. Okay. Control A. So this one, I'm going to make 13. This one is 9, so let's make this 10. Go OK. All right. Here we don't need this title anymore, so we're going to right click hide. Okay. And I can't remember if that's center. No, it's not. So that's just a left justification. Here on this top one, I think it's a little bit bigger. Yep. Okay. So we're going to double click this one on the top. Double click. Okay, we're going to fix this household spelling. if I can see it. Okay, households. This one we're going to make it maybe 16. Let's see how that looks. Maybe a little bit more. Let's go 18. Just little by little. And the text below, we're going to make that a little bit bigger as well. So instead of the standard 10, let's go 12 and go OK. All right, that's looking pretty good. All right, and we're going to make it center justified, like so. Okay, that's it. Now for the map, we don't need this border, right? People add borders all the time. It's super annoying. You don't need them, right? Instead of borders, use spacing. And it's less of a distraction. It actually looks better. So to get rid of this border, we're just going to right click, go format. And then in this border section here, and I'll just zoom in so you can see, that border section, if you go down, you're going to see row divider and column divider. And we're just going to turn those off. So I'll start with column, go none. And we're going to go row and none. And when you do that, you can see it's starting to come through now. Okay, I'm going to move this down a little bit. Okay, now when we did the format text coloring, it does it for everything. But these annotations, we actually want them to be black. Okay, so I'm going to open each one. I'm going to change these individually to this black right here. I don't do full black. I just do this one here. And I can't remember if it's center justified. No, it's not. Okay, just going to go apply, see how it looks. All right, it looks pretty good. And we're going to make these 12. So 12 and 10. Let's see how that looks. Yep, that looks pretty good. Do it for the next one. So we're just trying to be very systematic about what we do. 12, 10, make this that one. Okay, next. Okay, Libya. This one. Okay, next one. Oh, so you see when you can't click it like that, because right now we haven't finalized the spacing, just move it down. Double click. Double click. Why can't I get in there? There we go. Yep. 12 and black and go OK. Now let's see how that's looking. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Now the bar chart. Now with this bar chart and the line chart, you can see there's actually a lot of grid lines. We don't need grid lines. So the general rule is if you have an axis, don't add data labels. If you have data labels, you don't need an axis. That's kind of a rule of thumb. So you can see here with this one, actually I've got an axis here and data labels. I just said it. You know, do as I say, not as I do, I guess, right? Okay, so with this, we don't need all the other lines. We just want this zero line, as they call it. Okay, and we even got rid of all these kind of tick marks. Again, all distractions. Let's go back. And we're going to right click here in the middle, go format. Start with the border section as we did just before. This one here. And we got the rows are actually already gone. So that's fine. We just check the other ones. Yeah, that's fine. So we're going to go into the next section, which is the grid line. Okay, and we're going to get rid of, I believe it's the axis tick and axis rulers. So we're going to turn those two off. So none, yep, and none. Okay, then we're going to go into the columns and get rid of this grid line. And you can see the dot is now there. Now, because we've resized this, it's kind of got a scroll now. So in order for it to fit perfectly, just activate it and then go into this section and switch it to entire view. Like so. Okay, now we have it there. And now we're going to size this up like so until it kind of looks like the other one. Roughly like that. Let's move up this Congo label. Okay, let's see how close we're getting. Okay. All right, so with this map, it's actually really big. Right, and we've actually zoomed out a little bit to make room for these labels. So the way to do that is if you just activate it, there'll be a plus and minus here. Just zoom out one. Okay. Now, if that's too much, you can actually just hold, just scroll in and out until you're happy with it. Okay. Like so. I reckon that's good. Okay. Like so. What else are we going to clean up? So let's get rid of this little energy method label. Hide field labels. Okay, that's coming together. Here on this hierarchy map, it's not taking up the whole thing. So activate that. Click to entire view, and that just fills out the space. Here, we've got all these lines that we don't need. So if you look back on this one, it's actually literally the axis. Okay, so let's get rid of everything else that's not the axis. So I'm going to right click here, format, and again, it's the same procedure for getting rid of all these lines. So into the borders, turn off column. Actually, no, we'll leave column and get rid of row. So that gets rid of those two. I'm going to go into the grid lines. We don't need these either. So we're going to turn off the 0 line. All right. We're going to turn off the axis ticks. See there. We're going to get rid of these grid lines, so the row grid lines. So we're going to go into rows, turn off these grid lines. And as you can see, now the data is coming through. Now with the dual axis, it always shows both of them, but we don't need both. So we can actually hide one of them. Show header. And as you can see, now it's starting to shine through. And then next, we're going to start doing the coloring and the size of, for example, the bar chart, the thickness and color choice of the line chart, to start making everything pop with color. So now we're going to start getting into the color choice. So let me show you how to do that. So let's start with the line chart. So what I notice here is you've got the line in the back, which is really faint, which is good. But this line at the front is kind of blending in with everything. So we want that to pop a bit more. So I'm going to activate this chart. And here on the second button, you're going to go to sheet. And that's just a quick way of getting to this part. Now, this moving average, the formatting settings are here. And what we want to do is color this line by its magnitude. So the way to do that, when you've used a quick table calculation here, it's kind of annoying to bring in that measure into this section and then do all the quick table stuff again. So a trick is if you hold Control, I think it's Command on a Mac, and just click this one and bring it here. And what that does is it duplicates the pill. So Control or Command, and click and drag into color. Okay, so now it's got a color. Then we're going to click on color, edit colors, and we're going to choose this one right here, sunrise, sunset, diverging. Go OK. You see now it's popping. Okay, go back to the dashboard. You see things are now starting to shine through. Let's do it for this hierarchy map or tree map. Go to sheet. Again, same thing. So in this one, the measure we're using is the sum of power. There's actually already a color on this. So we simply click on color, edit colors, and same process. Sunrise, sunset, diverging. Okay. Yeah, it's looking very good now. Here on the map, we actually don't need this title. Completely useless. It's a distraction. So hide title. Okay. I'm going to go to sheet. Okay, and we're going to adjust this color. This one already has a color as well. So color, edit colors, sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset, sunrise. You see now it's starting to pop. Democratic Republic of Congo, go to sheet, same process. Now here there's no color, so we're going to duplicate this measure into color. So holding Control or Command, I'm going to click and drag this into color. Then we're going to go color, edit colors, palette, sunrise, sunset. Okay, like so. Go back to the dashboard. Okay, now the thickness of these bars is a little bit too much for me. So we're going to go back to the settings here. And here on size, instead of being around 75%, we're going to make it at 50%. If we go to dashboard 1, and what that does is it creates just enough separation to make it easier to read. Okay, and there we go. All right, so it's getting so close now. Now we're going to add padding and containers. So you can see things aren't really aligned. There's not really a good feng shui about it. And I see people just kind of tweaking and moving things around, and it's such a pain to do that. Do not do that. I'm going to show you a better way. And then the padding is a way of controlling how spaced out everything is. So let's start with the containers. Okay, so containers helps us arrange things. So you can see everything is floating. What we want to do is actually have one container like that. You can have a container for these two, which are split in the middle. Okay, then we're going to have this one on top and then the text on top. Okay, So easiest way to do that is, now that we know where everything's going to go, we're just going to move some things to the side just to give us some space. Okay, because they're all individual elements at the moment. Okay, and again, don't worry about the size. The container will fix everything. Containers solve all. Here on the bottom left, you're going to see object containers, and you just want to start with the innermost container. So in this case, it's going to be these two at the bottom. So we're going to need a horizontal container for these two. So just drop it anywhere. Now this text is floating, remember? But inside a container is a tiled. So to switch between them, just hold Shift. That's it. So click on the heading, start moving it. You can see it's kind of just sitting on top. If you hold Shift, it's going to drop it inside. That's the first one. Let's do it for hierarchy. Again, hold the handle, press Shift, and drop it to the right side. You can see there. And then we're just going to move this middle section roughly where it goes. And you can see everything just suddenly comes into alignment. If you want to select the container, just click any item inside and double click this heading, or this handle. And you can see now the container is selected, and I'm going to move it roughly down here. Now we need a container for the whole thing. So let's grab a vertical container and drop it up here. I'm going to roughly size it. Okay. And let's bring in this title. So again, hover over, hold Shift, and drop it inside. Grab the handle, hold Shift, drop it inside. So you're probably wondering, why didn't we just do that in the first place? And that's because sometimes we don't know what the dashboard's going to look like because we're kind of discovering and exploring. Yeah. So this is kind of the best process that I've seen, that you just do it at the very end so you don't have to change it again. So let's click inside one of these elements, double click the handle, and then move this container, which is floating, inside this other container by holding Shift, and you can see this is now dropped inside. Oh, I pressed something. Hang on. Click the handle, hold Shift, and drop it inside. Okay, and you can see sometimes the sizing is not great. Okay, so we're just going to move that up. Oh, hang on. Just gonna, it's a little bit fidgety sometimes. Okay, right. Now we're going to click the whole container. So click any item inside, double click. So now I'm controlling the whole container. Now we want to put it where it's going to live. So I tend to give it some spacing on the corners and then drag this out. And I'm thinking somewhere there. Okay, so now everything kind of fits nicely. We're going to start sizing everything where it's going to go. Okay, around about there. All right, this top one looks pretty good there. Now, as you can see, I mentioned before, everything seems very squashed. So this is where we start adding padding. So for example, this middle one, it's all the way to the edge. So if I go layout and scroll down, you're going to see this inner padding. You want to set this to, let's do 20. And you can see it's added all this space on the sides. If I do it for this one as well, let's do it for this hierarchy. We're going to go 20. You can see it's added some space. We'll do the same thing for this one. Let's do 20. Okay, there we go. And just size that until everything fits. Okay, let's make this a little bit smaller. Give the bottom one a little bit more space. Just a smidge, maybe not too much. Okay, let's drop this down. And even for energy revolution, actually looks pretty good like that. And you just keep, this part's the easy part because you can kind of just start tweaking how everything's gonna kind of sit together. Okay, just until you're happy with it. You could literally just keep playing with this. But you can see that's so much easier than kind of trying to make everything align. Now for this one on the right, we only need one more container, which is these two, because remember the bar is going to be sitting on top. So we're going to add a container. So dashboard, vertical container, drop it anywhere. Click on this title, click the handle, hover and hold Shift. You drop it inside. Do the same thing for the map. Click the handle. Now you can see how it's kind of on top. If you try and bring it inside, you can't because it thinks it's just on top of itself. So just move it away from the other container and then do it. Oh, hang on. Try that again. Hold Shift, and now you can drop it in. Double click. So now I'm holding the whole container. Now I can start thinking about where this is going to live. Around about, oops, a bit too. Oh, actually, no, that's pretty good. Just going to move this up a bit, like so. Oh, I keep pressing all the Shift button. Okay, there we go. This one back here, you can see this one's all the way to the edge as well. We want this to have padding. So inner padding 20. Okay, there we go. It's now starting to come together. And I think from the other one, I actually had a background shading. So a white border on this left one and black shading on the other one. So here we're going to go layout, background, black. Okay, and then reduce the opacity. I think it's probably, what is it? Something like that. Enough to give it some contrast between the two. And then this energy type, it's going to have a white background. Again, you're always just playing with contrast to separate things, to make it easier for the reader to distinguish different things from each other. Okay, so you can see it's coming together very nicely. Let's add some padding for this one too. 20. Okay, let's drop that down a little bit. Get the text in there. Let's move this one down. Okay, and you can see we are practically done. The very last bit is to change the font. So the easiest way to do that for the whole dashboard is, we've already done the color for the dashboard. It's just the font selection. So we go workbook, from format workbook, and here, the original one I used was called Tomaris, but for some reason it's been removed. I don't know why, and this is across multiple computers that I have. So we're going to choose a different one, and I saw one that started with the letter C. So if you just scroll up, okay, here we go. Let's have a look. And the one I saw was called, it had an interesting name. No, not communist. Conformity. Let's try that one. And you can choose whatever you like, whatever makes it look interesting. And for me, I was like, look, this looks pretty cool. And then from here, you can just, again, do your final adjustments, but we're pretty much done. And if the font feels a little bit too small, just go ahead and adjust where you need to adjust from. If you want to make it a little bit easier, just go again back to workbook. And instead of using the all section, you can use all the smaller, all the kind of sub formatting ones. So for example, worksheet titles, instead of 15, maybe we'll go 20. Let's see what it looks like there. Okay, so you can see some of them have changed. Maybe 20 is too big for some of these, so we'll just go ahead and tweak where we need to. For example, this one, maybe we'll just make it 12. Maybe, I think 14, maybe for this particular, yeah, this is the other thing. So for certain fonts, certain sizes are better. For example, like that. Let's try this one. And you just go ahead and just tweak what you want to tweak. Let's do 20. And then here, let's try 14. Okay, and if it's a little bit too big, you just keep adjusting as you go. That's it. That's it. This is we're at the end now. Okay, this one, let's do 14. Okay, and everything else I am pretty happy with. I would probably just adjust some of these like uppercase, lowercase, but that is pretty much it. So we're now going to move on to publishing. Let's now proceed with the final step, which is to publish it to Tableau Public. And publishing is good practice because we do this in a professional setting, not to Tableau Public, but our own private sites like Tableau Cloud. And if you're using Tableau Public for this tutorial, you go to File and go Save to Tableau Public. If you are using Desktop, which is the paid version, which I'll just bring up here, it's not in the File section, it is in Server. But the process is the same, it's just where it's located. So here in Desktop, it'll be in Tableau Public, Save to Tableau Public As. But we're going to be using the free version. So when you go File, Save to Tableau Public As, it will prompt you to log in. So if you haven't got an account, set that up. It's completely for free. And then after that, it will publish your workbook. So let's go through it now. I'm just going to go and sign in. So once you've signed in, you're going to get this prompt. Okay, save to Tableau Public. Now, because we've connected to an Excel dataset, it's going to ask us to create an extract that kind of stitches with the dashboard so we can send it to the cloud. So when you press save here, it should give me an error. And if not, I will walk through that anyway. So save. Okay, save to Tableau Public. Give it a second. And here we are now in Tableau Public online. And my one didn't throw up an error, but yours may have. And all it says is ask to create an extract. You save it somewhere on your computer. I usually just put it in my downloads, and then you do it again. So you go Tableau Public, save as Tableau Public, same process, and then it will send it to Tableau Public. Now, if you're not using the latest version of Tableau Public, just get the latest one. It may not take you directly to this page, in which case it'll give you a little bit of an error. That's no problem at all. Just go to public.tableau.com, log in, and your dashboard will be in there. And that's it. So I mentioned at the beginning of this video that you guys can win a year's worth of access to the Jellyman Education website. Here's how you do it. So for the video that you're watching, go down to the description below and you're going to see this link. For 2 months free access to Jellyman Education, click on this coupon link. That takes you to my website. You sign up. That gives you 2 months free access regardless. Yeah. After that, it will come up in the back end of the systems and I can see it. And for a few lucky people, I'm going to extend your access for a whole year. That means you can try everything. You don't have to pay a single dollar. You can cancel anytime. Nada. And you can just enjoy the content and just share the love of analytics. So that's it. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to check out all the other videos on the channel as well. Thank you for the support. If you have dashboard ideas you want me to explore, be sure to drop a comment. Other than that, have a great day and bye.